Hello, and welcome to Book Reviews Kill, a podcast about fantasy, sci-fi, and horror novels. I'm Evan.
And I'm Chad.
And you're joining us for our recap and discussion of Iron Gold, Book 4 in the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. I think technically Iron Gold is Book 1 of the Iron Gold tetralogy, which means it's the first of 4 books, but it's fine.
Book 1 of the Book 4 tetralogy doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
We don't want to do that. This is Book 4 in my mind of the entire Red Rising series. This book was rough for about the first 250 pages, but then it got pretty awesome. It really did get really cool, but for me, it never quite reached the heights of the first 3 books. There were definitely some standout scenes, of course, because this is Pierce Brown, this is Red Rising we're talking about here. This is Darrow, this is Severo, this is Victra, this is everybody's here.
This is the Golds.
a lot of people aren't here, but a lot of people have died. But yeah, I don't know. What'd you think?
I agree with everything you just said, and I really agree behind the 4th book thing. Like, I know it's supposed to be the first book of 1, because if he meant for it to be the first of a new thing, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like the 4th of an old thing that at this point is kind of tired, and I kind of thought that we not solved it, but at least got far enough pointed in the right direction that the entire next 3 books weren't going to be entirely about the old thing, you know? So I'm kind of just disappointed that we're just dragging through the problems of yesteryear, it feels like.
I think, because one of the points of this book, I feel like, is to kind of, it was showcasing how war is never really over. It's just kind of always evolving. And it also delved into what it means to be a good parent. Like, there were a lot of different things that it was trying to accomplish. And I think that, one of the main things it was trying to show is, yeah, they won, but what about all these people? And what about this? And what about Darrow's relationship to the family that he was kind of fighting for? He didn't know he was fighting for Pax, but he wanted a certain future. And it's he kind of got it in a sense, but so yeah, I don't think it was terrible. I think it set out to do what it was trying to do. And I think maybe when we read Dark Age and Lightbringer, I think we might come to understand why Iron Gold was so important. And it feels like an important series of events, but
feels
reading it was rough. Reading it, the actual, boots on the ground reading it, the actual process of reading it was really tedious for me, at least personally. I mean, it was weird because the first
tedious
couple
is the right word.
the first couple Darrow chapters were good. First couple Lyria chapters were good. I didn't like any of the Ephraim chapters. I didn't give a shit about Ephraim. Every time I turned the page and I saw Ephraim, I was like, great, another one of these. This. Yeah,
I felt that way about Lyria.
Oh, I like Lyria a lot. Yeah,
really?
we can get into it.
Sticks a little bit later, but yeah, she was a drag for me.
I mean, I think that was the point, man.
I know, but we don't need to. Okay, we're getting to sticks. We'll get into the sticks later.
Man, those Lyria chapters were really depressing. Of course they were.
And I guess that just kind of boils back to my whole point, is I was hoping for something new, and I don't need 3 more books to tell me that the consequence of war and societal upheaval is still not the world being perfect. I get it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, I think you were expecting a little bit of that, but then a lot more plot. And there was some plot. Let's give it a little credit.
The first 3 books are a torrent of plot and wild things happening, epic speeches, and just people really in their moment. You know
what though? I think I'm going to go ahead and stand by what I said though before we get into the recap and just say I think when we read books 5 and 6, we'll come to appreciate this one a little bit more. That's my prediction.
I've heard very good things.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. 10 years after the victory over the Golds of the Core Worlds, a new Sore Republic has replaced the tyrannical society. Darrow of Lycos serves as Arch-Imperator of the Republic's forces, which are still at war with the Ash Lord, Magnus Augrimus. Darrow's wife, Virginia, Au Augustus, governs as the elected sovereign, but a faction called Vox Populi, led by Dancer, has risen to power in the Senate. Ignoring the Senate's orders, Darrow launches a massive assault on Mercury, wresting the planet from the Ash Lord, but with great casualties. When the Senate learns from Darrow's enemy, Julia Albellona, that he rejected an overture of peace from the Ash Lord, they issue a warrant for Darrow's arrest. Darrow, knowing that the potential truce is a ploy by the Ash Lord that will never come to fruition, escapes with his closest allies on a dangerous mission to assassinate Magnus. Darrow and the Howlers set off to Earth, where they free Apollonius Au Valai Wrath after a stealth assault on Deepgrave Prison and set off to Venus to kill the Ash Lord. They invade his fortress, but find him bedridden. He reveals that his daughter, Atalantia, is heading to retake Mercury, which is not fully protected, and that Darrow and Sevro's children have been captured. Enraged, the three of them, Darrow, Sevro, and Apollonius, burn the Ash Lord to death. Stricken by grief and his failure as a father, Darrow sets course to Mercury to reinforce his army while Sevro heads back to Luna. Meanwhile, Cassius Albellona and his ward Lysander Aulun rescue a female gold from a drifting ship in the asteroid belt. After making a narrow escape from Obsidian pirates, they are rescued by golds from House Ra of the Rim, learning that the gold they rescued was Seraphina Au-Ra, daughter of the Rim Sovereign. Cassius and Lysander, initially disguising themselves as merchants, become embroiled in the political upheaval happening in the Outer Rim. As Dido Au-Ra disposes her husband, Romulus, the sovereign of the Rim Dominion. When his identity is revealed, Cassius is challenged by multiple golds for his past crimes against the Ra. He kills one after the other, but is gravely wounded, and ultimately dies. Dido shows the Moon Lords evidence that their Ganymede shipyards were destroyed by Darrow and not by Roque Au-Fabii, as they had been led to believe. While initially persecuted for negligence, Romulus admits to destruction of the shipyards, but covered up the evidence to avoid war. Before he dies, Romulus warns Lysander to keep the peace, lest the numerically fewer golds of the Rim are destroyed by Darrow. Nevertheless, the Rim Lords decide to go to war against the Republic, and Lysander joins them. Lyria is a Red, who lives in Camp 121 on Mars, after her people are freed from the mines. The terrorist organization known as the Red Hand attacks the camp, killing nearly everyone, and Lyria and her nephew Liam are the only members of her family to survive. Republic forces eventually arrive to intervene, and Lyria saves Cavax Au-Telemanis from drowning. He takes her into his household. On Luna, Lyria befriends a veteran named Philippe, who is actually the criminal Ephraim T. Horn in disguise. He uses his plan to bring down a Telemanus transport ship and kidnap Pax, the son of Darrow and Virginia, and Electra, the daughter of Sevro and Victra, at the request of the crime lord known as the Duke of Hands. Caught after the fact, Ephraim agrees to his former sister-in-law, Darrow's deputy Holiday T. Nakamura, retrieve the children. Ephraim flees the Duke's compound with Pax and Electra, but the Duke's boss, the Syndicate Queen, remotely seizes control of his stolen ship when they are 20 minutes from Republic ships. Ephraim destroys the ship's engines to prevent recapture, crashing himself and the two children to the surface. And that is where we are left in this state of unknown.
Yeah, everybody, if you're listening and you're kind of confused about that recap there, we had to chop it into basically 3 parts because of the point of view characters, and it was just a lot harder to kind of do it sequence by sequence when everything was all mixed together like that. So I think that's how we're doing all the Faithful and the Fallen books too.
Yeah, the last one I wove them all together into one.
Oh, you did, yeah.
And it was really long and arduous and took me 4 days to write, though that story is a little bit of a different creature than this one. But yeah, the art of writing a summary is really an art form, man, because there's so many different ways that you can do it.
Well, we did a great job here, Chad. Thank you very much for doing that. There's some stuff that was left out of the... we could have probably went on for about 25 minutes because there was a lot of things that happened in this book. One thing specifically that I wanted to talk to you about was the last part of Darrow's point of view in this book. And it's one of the more compelling questions and kind of compelling scenes. So I wanted to start with this one, and then we can kind of work our way through a lot of the other events that happened, obviously. But what did you think about Darrow's decision to not go after his son and go to, was it Mercury again?
Yeah, he's going to Mercury to save his army. Yeah, he's going to Mercury.
There's people
about
entrenched,
to get jumped by the Ash Lord's daughter.
Yep, Atalantia. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, who? Okay, before we go down that really, I kind of got blindsided by all these bad guys. Who are they? Where did they come from? They're nobody.
So that was we'll get back to that question again soon. But yeah, that was definitely one of the things that I kind of took issue with in this book was that it felt like a lot of credence was given to, and a lot of page time was given to characters that I had either kind of barely heard about or not heard about at all.
Totally.
Like Seraphina is the daughter of Romulus, and it's oh yeah, I remember Romulus talking about his kids, kind of it's
I like how I didn't like them watching TV or something.
Exactly. And like that's all like it's all fine. Like but also like there's so much like weight around like the Al Ra family, and it's just like, wait, why are we here? What is this a big deal right now?
I legitimately thought he was going to be the Jackal, like most of this book.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh, yeah. I figured he was going to come from the...
No, he's way dead. I figured he was
to find
dead.
some way, you know?
I think Grimace was like kind of off the page, like a pretty big force to be reckoned with already. You know, like the Ash Lord had like nuked the hell out of some planet or something. He was like a pretty like legendary figure already.
Was he? Okay, I guess I was too caught up in Darrow being awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, and it's fine. It's just like, I forgot just how many like different like factions, and so there's like Vox Populi, there's the split off section of the Rising that not Holiday but the other person with the name Harmony is like leading, you know what I mean? And then there's like the Rim, and then there's the Society, and then there's the Rising, and then it's just like there's a lot of different parts moving right now, and then there's like a lot of characters obviously in those. So it's just a little difficult sometimes to like remember why a character is like super significant. Like when Dido comes in and it's like, oh no, it's Romulus's wife. I was just like, who the hell is this lady? Like, why is this like a big moment? You know what I mean? Like,
okay, here's Chad being an idiot though. Okay, I literally thought until our recap that like I have in my notes, like it's annoying me that the word Vox Populi is being used so many times, because I was like, because the Vox, it's like Latin or Greek or whatever for the majority. But I didn't know that it's like the literal name of their like political party. And so every time that was used so many times, and I was like, we get it. You know, a fancy word for majority.
Oh my God.
Utilize every time someone uses something too. Man, so tiring, but I just totally missed it.
I don't know. It was a little odd having like these characters kind of be such a big presence on the page for the other characters, but not really for me. It felt like, you know what I mean? Like
I fully agree.
Yeah, like when Dido comes in, I'm sure Cassius is like, damn, like it's Romulus's wife. Like this is gonna get crazy. But I was just like, who the hell is this? I don't know why. Yeah, and then like Seraphina, and it's like, and by the way, like is Seraphina a peerless Scarred? Because it like Lysander was like, oh my God, like this is like one of the real like legit golds. But so if Lysander can recognize Seraphina, how come nobody recognized Lysander?
That's a real great point.
Or Cassius, for that matter.
Right?
Like,
did they have like super disguises?
I just think it's kind of. I mean, I'm not saying that like Lysander knew that Seraphina was Romulus, but like they can. It's like they can almost like tell that like some golds are like much better, I guess, for lack of a better word, than other. Like I feel like they should have seen. Like when Cassius and Lysander get caught, they're just like, we're these people, and they're just like, okay,
like
whatever.
Yeah,
they're like, sure, we'll buy whatever story you tell us. Who cares? Like whatever. But it's just like, wait, what? Isn't there some kind of? Can't you guys tell? You know? So
right. Maybe that's
weird.
The statement, right? Is they're so arrogant that they think that they'd be able to tell, and so that's why it works.
I'm getting a little sick of that covering like every single plot hole with the gold, though. You know what I mean? Like, by their own hubris, but it doesn't work for like every situation. You know, Cassius
was the right hand man of the previous sovereign. Like his face should be like known.
Yeah, and like Lysander, I kind of understand because it's like he was really young. He probably grew into different features and stuff. But like
barely,
Cassius,
I understand.
Like I think like Cassius has like a beard or something, and everyone's like, "Who is this guy?" like come on, Pierce Brown. Like I know, I'll give him a mustache, and no one will recognize him. It's like one of those famous fingers. People. But anyway, going way back to the question I had asked before. What did you think about Darrow choosing to go to Mercury instead of go after his son? Because I have an answer for this, but I want to hear your rationale.
Okay. I've got some major issue with this whole end sequence. Okay. So
I think I know what you're going to lead off with.
So, okay, they come across the Ash Lord, who I was disappointed was not the Jackal rebirth somehow making
really was the Ash Lord.
Really was the Ash Lord. Darn shucks. But there was the deceit of that he's like super decrepit, which somehow makes him like
I thought that was cool.
It was cool, but it was like I also didn't really get the weight behind it. Because it's like he's still the leader of the troops. Like that doesn't really change your goal any.
No, I guess. Yeah, no, I just thought it was like it was like a cool image in my head. I didn't really like think that hard about it.
Oh, just like him in the thing. And I mean, I think strategically it was important because he was like hiding that his like daughter was the real leader and she's got their forces off someplace else. You know, the main power of their army maybe isn't with him, I guess. But it did seem like, oh, wow. Like, because they get all mad at Apollonius. Like, you knew that he was decrepit. And it's like, why does it matter, really? Like, you still got to take the guy out.
The princess is in a different castle.
Yeah, like I don't know. Okay, so the one guy, the guy who's like their enemy, like super hardcore enemy, he tells them, hey, your kids are taken by my faction. And then no fact checking, like the one guy who has like actual incentive to like lie to them, to destroy, and like look what his lie does when believed, because they just immediately do. It completely breaks Severo and Darrow. It not only changes the course of their actions.
To be fair, they were kind of breaking up a little bit before that. Just to be totally fair here.
You're right.
Like
that was the linchpin, though.
Go ahead. No, you're right.
Smashed their already weakening foundation.
But it was already getting pretty bad. Yeah.
You're right.
But go ahead.
And then they make very big decisions that they wouldn't have made without that. They fracture themselves. The book ends with Darrow basically deciding to go on like a suicidal, like FU, like battle rush. Like that's his plan.
I didn't see it that quite. I know Darrow saw it kind of that way, but I still don't see it that way.
Right, because he's like, "Woe is me."
He says like Mercury will be my grave or something like. But Darrow talks like that all the time. Like like everything's tiring. Gonna like Mars will be his grave, Earth will be his grave, Venus will be his grave. Like everything will be Darrow's grave. Like we don't know when Darrow's gonna die.
But believing the Ash Lord is the thing that starts Darrow down this like road, which very quickly manifests himself into his own like opinion of it being a suicidal last stand battle rush, which fractures him and Severo's relationship. And like, is there anything better that the enemy could hope for by spreading that lie if it wasn't that? Like, no, like that is a money plan right there. But like, though they've been fighting with guns and weapons this entire time, they don't realize that like words can also be weapons, and like sit there and think like, maybe let's get a fact check here before we just break down emotionally. And like they're like lost hope, they're like
within like minutes.
You're believing him at face value though. Like that would seem crazy to me.
They just set him on fire.
Boy, let's talk about that scene a little bit.
I mean, I don't want to talk about that.
I know. Okay, let's not do that yet because it's heavy.
God.
But dude, that was rough. And I think that it could have been marking something that changes the way I think about it. But I want to hear what you have to think about this whole ending sequence, because like for me, it's like hard to even give my opinion, because the whole premise was like, I'm so like flabbergasted that they even chose to believe him and not do an ounce of fact checking when like, of course he's going to lie to you for his own benefit. Like, duh.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm trying to think of like why else they would believe. I don't know. It is kind of weird. Like that part is really weird. I think I was caught up in the moment and didn't really think about it. Because like Severo's such a magnetic character. Like every time he talks, like he's easily my favorite character in all the books. And like every time Severo talks, like I feel like a little part of my brain just kind of shuts off, and I'm just like, whatever's going on, I don't care. Like Severo's awesome. I'm just kind of here for the ride. But I hadn't really noticed that before. But yeah, like why would they believe him so quickly? Like. But I mean, maybe they thought,
and then make all the plans based upon that premise.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I would have thought this guy's on his deathbed. He's trying to do whatever he can to get a rise out of us or something.
Yeah, very least. Yeah, totally.
But with regard to like Darrow leaving, like he did, I think it makes sense. Like it makes sense on a few different levels. So for one thing, it makes sense for Darrow's character, because of course Darrow's going to do that.
Totally self-sacrifice, and my family if that's what it takes.
But also Darrow has also sacrificed a lot for people before too, but it's not the same. Like it's like Darrow knows that at Atalantia and I'm getting my the Ash Lord Grimace are depending on Darrow to act the way that Severo is acting. That's how I looked at it. It was like I think
rush home to rescue their kids.
Right. Yeah. I think that might have been why they stole the kids and why Grimace told them. You know what I mean? It's because they knew that they had a tactical advantage over Darrow, because they know Darrow emotionally would snap and go save his son. And I think Darrow knows that they know that. And he was like, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that, and I'm going to go to Mercury. And as much as it hurts, I can't pass up this tactical advantage.
Right. He's being strategical. I agree with you.
Yeah, but
that's smart, Evan.
Not but
look at you put on your general hat.
I know, I never do that. And also though, I think that Darrow, as much as Severo and Darrow had kind of like broken up a little bit there, I think if I was Darrow and Severo was that charged up about it, I'd be like, he's got to figure it out. Like, there's no reason for me to go. You know what I mean? Like Severo, there's nothing that Severo and Darrow would do in that situation that Severo wouldn't be able to do by himself, because there's so much happening.
Great point.
So like, I think the way that Pierce Brown intended that scene to be was to like really catch us and make us think like, wow, Darrow's so horrible. But like, actually, I was kind of like, yeah, this actually makes the most sense. Like, I mean,
it's pretty on par. Yeah.
Like it's really heartless, and it really feeds into a lot of how Darrow's been feeling. Like, he's like crying himself to sleep, and he's like, he feels really horrible about the kind of father and about the kind of parent that he is.
Totally.
I get that. But like, also, he's also grappling with like trying to create a certain future that he believes in for his son as well. Like, there's no reason for him to stop a war 3/4 of the way through just so he can be with his kid, when even if his kid is alive, which he doesn't even know, even if his kid is alive, he's gonna still be in a world that is worse off for Darrow not having gone and tried to save it. So it's really complicated. And it sucks that Darrow is again going to be on paper kind of failing his son, but like in the long run, he's not. At least I would argue that he's not. But then again, I also don't really agree a bunch with Darrow's actions at the very beginning of the book either. Like doing an iron rain on Mercury. Like, I think that was. I think it's like you
going against his wife and fracturing his own.
I mean, like, I think that one of the problems with Darrow, at least in this specific book, and like you can kind of see flavors of it in other books too, but like one of Darrow's issues in this book is that I think he forgets sometimes like what he actually wanted, and like I don't think he knows like what a society is supposed to look like. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I do. I'm just saying like his friends and his family have inputs as well. Like, other people are allowed to make decisions in a society. You know,
you're so right.
Yeah,
he takes it's like everything onto his own shoulders.
And so like that's why like I think that iron rain in the beginning is just kind of like, damn, dude, like you're really just gonna. And he's like, and so a lot of his rationale behind it is like, well, the peace treaty that they offered me was fake, and it's like, maybe. Even if you're right about that, though, like, why not try as much diplomacy as possible with this new Solar Republic? That, like, why are you like lowering yourself to what the Golds would have done in my eyes? Like, that's like have just bombarding planets, like, you know, preemptively. I don't know, Darrow.
Like, have a plan. Like, obviously, like, if you think that you're going to get betrayed, factor that in. Have a plan for that eventuality. But like, you know. It's fine. You can do both. Like, I feel like he's so like black or white that he's like, we must do this road or that one. It's like, well, you can fake it for a little bit and at least like sate that other political party who is really convinced
that
10
the guys. Years. Sorry.
Yeah. And you know, and I don't necessarily think that it's necessarily Darrow's fault, because like if there's one thing that he's been like created for, it is to like destroy. He's been created to destroy, not create. And unfortunately, we're at a time in the story where we need a creator leader, not a destroyer leader. And Darrow is really, and he's battling for good reason, because all he really knows how to do is destroy the society, because that's been his like only focus. And he's so willing to do that, to your point, that he's like willing to sacrifice his family and like, yes, I've been a bad dad and I'm gonna cry every night about it, but I need to finish what I started, and that's destroying the evil Gold situation.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, you know, like the Rim and the society are gathering strength, you know, while in Darrow's eyes, and maybe it could be objectively, but like in Darrow's eyes at least, the Solar Republic is fracturing. Like, the fact that there is the Vox Populi at all, and the fact that there is like the what's it called, like the Red something, the like rebel faction, or like the radical faction.
Shield. Oh, I have it in the.
I can't remember what it's. Red Hand? Is it the Red Hand?
I think it's the Red Hand. It's the Red Hand. I'm quite certain you just nailed it.
So like, I think maybe in Darrow's eyes, it's like, okay, well, this is fracturing, and while this is all fracturing, everybody else is gathering themselves back together. And it's like, I don't know, he's probably not wrong. You know what I mean? But also,
Red Hand, you're right.
But you can't run a society by yourself, you know, and especially you can't run it with just sheer force all the fucking time. You know what I mean? Like just constant force and iron reins on everything. It's just like, buddy, like
he's a mopey bull in a china shop. And let's use this to segue to let's see, where do I want to go? I really want to talk about them lighting him on fire because I think it's a really important event. So maybe we'll
we can talk about it right now if you want.
But I do want to go to so to your point here, I have a quote from Darrow. In one of my notes here, says so many Darrow chapters begin with statements like Darrow walking out of the Ash Lord's fortress. I am an empty shell. Other stuff, many injured, emptiness, stunned sadness. If only I could go back in time and hold my boy again, protect him from the world. Will I ever see him again? Is he even alive? Blah, blah, blah. I feel the last of my soul exiting the empty shell of my body. Even to myself, my voice is like that of a condemned man. The key is so heavy on my chain, on my sternum. It's all I can do to stay standing. It's like, dude, you're not holding the one ring, bro. Like,
I mean, he does have a lot of responsibility.
He's
but
so dramatic.
I see what you're getting at, though. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like as much as he loves his friends, something about Darrow, like, he's just. Does he not trust that people know that, like, have his best interests too, and like
he's just self-sacrificing to a fault.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I still think
like, dude, it's not your fault that every death happens is not your fault.
I mean, he is like a super, super interesting person, like super interesting character. I do think that like the extra POVs in this book were kind of a breath of fresh air because it, at least tonally, like we just got a little like I didn't really like the Ephraim chapters that much. I didn't think that they really added like a ton. I don't know, but it was still like a nice change to like have someone, because I feel like, you know, if you're listening right now, you can let me know if you think I'm wrong about this, but I feel like Ephraim's role in this book was to kind of, and Lyria's also, but like just to kind of show that, you know, yeah, sure, the Rising was a success and the society was toppled or whatever, but I mean, it's still really bad out here, you know, I mean,
right.
And the process of toppling that society wasn't great, and you know, like
there's a lot of casualties.
Yeah, people lost people, you know, like
totally.
Ephraim's never going to be the same after that, you know, after losing somebody, and so I think that's what it was for, but also yeah. I didn't like the Ephraim chapters that much, but it was a nice change of tone, you know what I mean? It was a nice change of like just a nice little like different look at stuff, you know, it's like a nice little perspective shift, like really it was, and I don't know.
So I agree completely and also disagree, because while it was a nice change, I think Ephraim was, Lyria was just another person moping, feeling sorry for which she has every right to be feeling sorry. Like her whole family is murdered by terrorists.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say
she should be mopey. I'm not saying that she's like just buck up, Sonny Jim. No. Not my point here. I'm saying that like I don't think that it really helped add in too much variance of tone, or at least Lyria didn't, because she's just like not feeling, she feels out of place, which is like Darrow. She feels like sorry for herself, which she should, again, Darrow. She's just like drowning in like violence. It doesn't really like feel welcome by anybody, but feels like protection over her nephew. Like it's so Darrow all over again. Like I don't think the story is really aided by another character drowning in self-loathing and
yeah, but I mean, like,
you know,
I think Lyria was, I mean, obviously like the red hand needed to be shown, that whole situation. I mean, I think what was interesting was that Lyria was from a different clan, I guess you could call it, like the one that Darrow kind of hated, that always got the laurel in the first book.
Oh, I missed that.
Am I right? I think that's right.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
It sounds right. It should be right.
I think that's right. But I just thought it was an interesting, you know, it's like,
yeah, it is interesting.
At the beginning of this whole series, like they were on top relatively in the Reds, but like now they're like, it's so bad, you know, it's like, it's so bad. But I just thought that was like kind of interesting for sure. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Lyria was needed. I liked her character, but I think that tonally she didn't help very much.
Okay. I think that's valid. Yeah. I mean, I think it was needed. We needed a kind of like realistic look into the aftermath of what Darrow did, because a lot of this book is about the aftermath of what Darrow did, you know, so right. We needed, like, we couldn't, that's why I think the tone is like, or that's why I think that the different perspectives are so important, because it's like, we can't just keep looking at everything through the eyes of the person that did everything, you know, it's like, we can't,
totally,
that's not how this works anymore, especially 10 years after the fact. Like if we were picking up right after Morningstar, I'd be like, I don't know if we need different perspective. We're still got the pedal to the metal here, but we took the pedal off the gas. There's no more gas now. We're kind of idling in the drive-through now. You know what I mean? And so while we're collecting our thoughts, it's so important to look at things from other people's perspectives. But I will agree
leads me back to the beginning, right? Because I thought that the whole book, I thought that we were going to see new stuff through a new character's perspective, but now we're seeing the old new character, and I'm just like, man, I wish it was more fresh.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta admit, man, like those, I think I said at the top of the episode, but like the first couple Darrow chapters were like pretty interesting, like the parade and stuff, and like it was just like very like vivid in my head, just like seeing all that, and like seeing like Severo's kids and Darrow's, like a lot of that was really, really good. And then I had no idea what was going on with Ephraim for a while. Like the only interesting Ephraim scene was like him and the Duke of Hands, like that first him and the Duke of Hands scene was like pretty cool. And then the last time that him and the Duke of Hands talked, I thought was pretty interesting, but everything in between I thought was boring as shit. Like I really didn't like it at all. And then like the first couple Lyria chapters, I wouldn't say good is the word, but like
sure, like her family dying.
They were really intense, but like I thought they were really well written and were really driving a lot forward, especially when she hooked up with the telemanuses and stuff. And like I thought that was pretty cool. But then it felt like it kind of like it's like she becomes part of the Telemanus household technically, but like it kind of that plotline kind of like peters out, and she just kind of like wanders around. Is that what she's doing,
dude? Like she's just hundreds of pages of her just wandering around. Okay, maybe not, but
it's
like
a lot.
A significant chunk of her just being like sad and not feeling welcome or like place in a out of place. You know,
she's just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time because she like meets Ephraim, who is Philippe, right? And she like meets this guy, and they like hit it off. But like not romantically, I'm pretty sure. But just like they connect, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, Philippe is orchestrating that.
It was it.
Oh, that's manipulation from the beginning. Yeah, he's just trying to.
I'm glad I'm talking about this because I'm a little bit confused about like the exact sequence of events here because it's like, was Lyria just like, because like someone said that Lyria was stealing something, right?
Yeah.
Like there was like this big, and then Ephraim kind of just comes in and is like, don't worry about it, you know, like come with me, and then. Like they talk for a while, and then
they become homies.
Like, is it because Ephraim is trying to get in with the Telemanuses?
100%.
Is that what it is? So okay, thank you for clearing that up.
The whole thing is mastermind and very well done when you look at it all. Why it's confusing, and it took me a while to figure it out too, is because you learn about it not in the order. Like you don't learn about Ephraim being hired by the Duke of Hands until like after they've already met, I'm pretty sure. And so it's hard to kind of put it all together. But yes, that whole situation, even the person who was blaming someone stealing something was like one Ephraim's crew. It was all set up by Ephraim to get him in a position to like lend her a hand so he could have an in and start building a relationship with her. He worked her like an asset. And then he became friends with her. And then that was his in that eventually allowed him to steal Pax and
Severo's kids. I can't remember their names.
Me neither. I only remember Pax because it's like the name of Pax, you know, and like the ship.
So while we're on the subject, though, I really like the way that Brown writes. He's a really gifted writer. Like he really
he's a great writer.
And I think that the way he builds up his stories and just like the reveals and there's not enough like good things I can say about. He really is fucking awesome. But
yeah, it doesn't get enough laurels in my opinion.
One thing that I really don't like about the way that Pierce Brown writes is that he will dangle a plot line in front of you and just demand that you follow it and just trust that it's going to be cool later. And I'm getting really sick of it, to be honest. Like it's really like the whole sequence when they go to get Apollonius, it was cool. But I really don't like being in a place for like chapters on chapters where I'm like, don't know why any of this is happening. Like, don't know why. And then it's like,
why am I with a maid of the crew?
It took so many different scenes. And then not just different scenes, it took so many different chapters, and not just different chapters. It took me reading a few Darrow chapters, and then reading a few Lyria chapters, and then reading a few Lysander chapters, and then reading a few Ephraim chapters, and then getting back to Darrow, where he's talking to Apollonius and stuff. And then finally, he's like, all right, so here's why we did all that. And it's like, bro, like, why did you do that? Like, that's so lame. Like, why can't you just have a conversation with Severo where you're like, this is why we're going to go do this thing, and then you could still have the exact same thing happen, but I get to be a part of it now. Like,
right.
And it might just be like a personal preference thing. Like, I get that some people like the anticipation and they're like, oh, I'm in good hands here. Like, I get that, and I feel like that sometimes too. But like, damn,
some
dude,
surprises are good.
Like, but dude, it's like, it's like 200 pages away from the initial thing that happened, like, because you got all these POV chapters and like so much to keep track of and stuff. And it's like the whole time I was like, why are they down in Deepgrave doing all that stuff? Like, what was that all about? Like, why they like went and got Tactus's brother? Like, and then it has to go into like this giant backstory about Tactus's brother and like
the whole time. I was like, why are we getting this guy? Who even is he? Like, what is he?
Yeah, and then
though on that note, I will say
sorry, that was a big long rant. That
was a great rant. I agree. Apollonius is, besides like my overarching favorite characters like Severo and Ragnarok.
This is Ragnar.
I have what's that TV show with the Vikings in my head? His name is Ragnar something. Ragnar Lothbrok or whatever. It's Ragnar.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No. The name of the character in the book. Now I'm all confused.
Oh, well,
the obsidian that would die.
Ragnar. Yeah,
Ragnar. Okay. Besides him being like, overarching favorite characters, Apollonius was like, he took the show. He was the most fun to read about, dude. His like dramatic monologues were the best thing ever. He was a character, and I loved him.
Yeah, I mean, character is a good word for it. Like, he was very, I don't know. I thought he was a little bit like predictably unpredictable. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, I see what you're saying. Like a
we got we got a wild card on our hands here, guys. Like,
totally,
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I was just
Darrow,
like, yeah, but I mean, I did like the violin thing was cool, especially seeing as he like broke Tactus's violin and stuff, and like it was interesting, not to say the least, and like just like how like because Tactus was like really different from Apollonius, and Thrasus, I think, is Apollonius' brother's name.
That's an amazing memory you have.
That scene by the pool was fucking crazy. Like, because like they like they just murdered all those golds that like they could have just been like, all right, you guys leave. But they
tisk,
like
no more.
Like, yeah, and then like that scene where like Severo like shoots the water next to where Thrasus is swimming to like electrocute him. It's just like, man, this is so crazy. Like, damn,
really explicit violence in this.
Yeah,
which leads nicely to the fire scene.
Sure, we could talk about the fire.
Let's go there because I think it's important and also like, whoa.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't read the book, what we're talking about is when Apollonius, Severo, and Darrow finally catch up to the Ash Lord. They find out he's in this decrepit state, and then he tells them, "Hey, you idiots! I was able to deceive you by making you think I was able-bodied, and also, which I guess is important, and also we have your kids." Severo says something to the effect of like, "Yeah, we're gonna kill him, but it doesn't have to like be easy for him." And Darrow like thinks about it for a second, and he was like, "Yeah. F this guy." And then all three of them proceed to light this old man who's decrepit, like wheelchair ridden, on fire and like stand there watching him burn to death.
I didn't like that scene. That was pretty low of all of them. So
I think it was because Darrow has a moment where he like has the ability to stop it and even thinks like, I should. And then he goes, nah. And I think it was his death sentence, honestly. I think because of that scene, he will die at the end, and he'll deserve it probably.
Severo?
No, Darrow.
Wait, back up. You think Darrow's gonna die because he set the Ash Lord on fire?
Yeah, because he said, I am willing to sacrifice not only myself, not only my family, but also my morality for the sake of this fight. And because that, the world will need him dead to move on and build up a better thing, because he's kind of hollowed out after that. Like, that was a pretty low thing.
I don't know, man. We still got 3 more books. Like,
I know, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for him to arc.
Dude, I don't even think it's that bad.
Be him.
Like, I don't think you even like think it's like compared. Like, dude, he like nuked a whole dockyard. He killed like thousands of Reds.
Yeah,
like,
you could justify that of like war and all that, but he like lit an old man on fire.
No, I'm not saying it's not. It's really awful.
Right.
But I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah, like I think Darrow kind of like threw away his morals like a while ago. You know, like. Yeah. But I do agree with you in the sense that like. I mean, I don't think Darrow's going to survive this series. Like, no. But I think that's
why he's not going to.
I think that's valid for sure.
Like, he's kind of irredeemable to himself.
I think Darrow. I mean, I haven't read Lightbringer yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Darrow died in Lightbringer. I don't think he's going to, but I wouldn't.
You don't?
No, he's going to be around for the whole.
Oh, he's going to die.
He's going to die at the end of Red God, I think.
Oh, sure. Yeah, not in Lightbringer. Yeah.
Lightbringer is the sixth book. There's 7. So we're going to have to do this whole show again. We're not going to have to read all the books over again, but we are going to have to read Red God when it comes out, obviously.
Of course.
But damn,
yeah. Okay, I agree with you there.
What, that Darrow's going to...
He's not going to die in Lightbringer. He'll die at the very end.
I mean, I just think if he did, I'd be like, oh, yeah. But then Lightbringer would have to be... Man, I don't even know. I don't even know if Sevro's going to survive. I don't know what's going to...
I think Sevro will survive.
Man, Sevro's so awesome.
Because he's a good dad.
I want to talk about a couple other really small things before we get to... we need to talk about Lysander and Cassius.
We do.
But I want to ask you, what did you think about Victra taking Lyria at the end? Because I thought it was interesting because Victra is so loyal. Victra for a while in the first couple of books was just basically trying to prove her loyalty to Darrow for a while, and Victra is just... She's a very solid presence in all of this,
Right. Rather unshakable, in fact.
Right, but what she does at the end of this book is pretty extreme. It's not super super bad or anything, but she when she comes on over the intercom right there when they're flying away, holy shit, man, a mother with her kids taken from her.
Yeah, dude, hell hath no fury.
Yeah, Sevro's wife's kids were taken. She is going to come in there, and I just thought it was interesting that Victra. I wouldn't call it breaking or anything like that, but it was just
it wasn't in her character.
It's not it's not for anybody but herself. She's been very selfless throughout a lot of this, but it was
not only that, but intelligent.
Yeah, I don't. Do you think it was a bad move for her to do this?
100%. Okay, so I have this huge block written now. So I think her attacking the ship that Lyria was on, they already have her. She's on the way to the Sovereign.
Yeah,
this is she captured her from her own people.
She wants her for herself.
Is a ridiculous move. Yeah. And which means she's now placing, because this is the only person who may have, if we're gonna go Mother's Fury, then her primary thing should be to get her kid back, right? Not revenge. And what she just did in that move was she elevated her own revenge over getting her kids back. She put Lyria's life in danger, the one person who got to have information that would lead to her getting her kid back. So it was not smart, not in her character. I just thought it was why did she have to purchase this one-way ticket to Revenge Town and being an idiot? Not to mention committing treason. Everyone's on the same side. We're all going to the same place.
Yeah, I don't know if it was treason though. Maybe it was. I guess you could.
I mean, she attacked.
She didn't follow whatever order she was probly given.
You're right.
That's for sure. But I don't know. Yeah,
it was weird. I'm sorry she's not in your ship. What are you doing?
Okay, so we need to talk about Lysander and Cassius because I had the most mixed feelings.
Before we move on to that, did you how that situation resolved with how Mustang kind of came in and took it over and was still super hard about it, but do you think she was fair? Do you like how that played out?
I mean, Virginia is so awesome. She is definitely the yin to Darrow's ridiculous yang, and showed it so well in that scene. But I do really want to move on to Cassius and Lysander because, man, I have really mixed feelings about it. There were parts of it, there were some scenes that I thought were just some of Pierce Brown's best, Cassius fighting gold after gold and saying I am Cassius Albellona and my honor still, damn, that was awesome. That was really cool.
That was one of the few moments that got me the first books did.
That was probably some of the best scenes in the whole book, right there. And then Dido is just so brutal, so ruthless and really believable in those scenes. The way that Seraphina's brother, or I can't remember who in the family, one of her sons or one of her nephews or whatever, is just dude, stop. He's won. He won, and she's just I don't care. I'm going to keep throwing my family members at him. That was really intense. And so I like that scene. I like the initial first couple chapters where they were talking to each other and stuff. And it was just, they were just kind of palling around, doing their thing, which I thought was cool.
Right. It started Lysander and Cassius doing good stuff out in the Outer Rim.
So I think the thing that gives me pause and like I don't know, just kind of rubbed against me weird is like, so a couple different things. So Cassius dies just in a room somewhere. So that was lame. Like
Super anticlimactic. I
didn't
agree.
like that at all. Didn't I?
Yeah.
Just like.
Do you think
like,
he's actually dead?
I don't know. I'm starting to think he might not be because of how lame that was. Like you're gonna give him like one of the coolest scenes of like the entire book, and then or probably arguably the coolest scene in the entire book.
And then rad. I was standing while reading it.
Yeah, it was so cool. And then it's just like, and then someone comes in and informs them like an intern at a hospital is just like, oh yeah, we lost him. Like, sorry. It's just, wait, what?
Yeah, and then Lysander's like, oh man, I wish he wouldn't.
So that's the other thing.
Thinking I betrayed him.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have betrayed him, Lysander.
Yeah.
So we should talk about that because like I don't know. I need to talk it through to kind of like really land on how I feel about it because. It makes sense that Lysander. So remind me of the sequence of events. Like, was Cassius still alive when Lysander found out that Darrow had bombed those shipyards? Because like Lysander hearing about that did contribute to him kind of like turning and being like, let's do the society shit. Let's go. Like I'm full like gold forever. You know, he like turned Super Saiyan right there for a second.
But also like the new version.
Yeah,
like I think he means reform.
I mean, whatever that means for a gold ruling over everybody. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's like,
but he will be following in his
his grandmother's footsteps.
Yeah, grandma's footsteps. Yeah, totally.
But like, I mean, do you think that he betrayed Cassius?
So, man, I'm kind of right where you are, unfortunately, on this, so it's not going to be very helpful. But in one way, I was like, dude, like your friend is trying to sacrifice himself for you, and you're just like, not today. But then at the same time, it's like, you know, Cassius's way of doing things and his leadership has kind of like led you to this weird circumstance that you're in. So maybe like you standing up for yourself and being like, no, and putting your foot down was like it was both a moment of him like kind of betraying and spitting on his friend's act, but it was also a moment of him like becoming himself and like seizing his own destiny and being like, no, I will control this, and there are some things that I will die for. And that was a really cool thing. So like half of me was like, yeah, and the other half of me was like, bro, come on, man. Like Cassius is like literally bleeding for you right now.
I don't know. To me, it felt like Lysander in one chapter was like, oh my god, this Seraphina chick. Super into her, so let's just like I'm down, like let's go full gold, baby, like let's go, you know, like it's just because it felt like Cassius was like trying to avoid a war,
right?
And then Lysander was just like, we were kind of drifting apart anyway, and like you're super hot, and like he's like I don't know. That's
why I said it's important, right? He seized it and was like, "I'm going to do his things differently."
But but like none of his chapters before that had like I didn't get a whole lot of like Lysander like ruminating on like his grandmother and like how that all went down and stuff. It was more like his relationship with Cassius and stuff.
Totally.
And like I don't know. It just felt like a little jarring. For
like when the guy decides, he commits hard.
Yeah, he does, and like I mean, I guess credit to that, I guess, but like it just felt. I guess I was just reading Lysander differently than how he ended up acting.
I totally agree because like as soon as he makes the decision, because he says like I've chosen sides, he like literally says those words because someone's like, "What's happening right now?" As they're like trying to escape, and he's like, "I've chosen sides." So it's like immediately upon deciding like I'm on this side, he then like goes into this like deep manipulative betrayal process where he puts himself and the person who's following him and like their lives in the line so he can like maybe help the other side. And it was like, yeah, it just seemed like, and whereas he wasn't even in the previous chapters like battling with this like how do I proceed morally in my like role as the sovereign.
No, he just kind of jumps into it.
Yeah, you're right. He was just like being brothers. It was all about the brotherhood between Cassius and him. And then he's just like, you know what? I'm going full political. Boom, let's do it. And it was just like, wow, really a man of action over here.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, like, looking at it through Lysander's perspective, in the sense that, like, maybe from where Lysander's sitting, the Rising really didn't work, and Darrow's, like, actually a lot more of a villain. That's why I was asking about, like, did I can't remember if Lysander had, like, it had been revealed that Darrow was the one that blew up the shipyards, and Lysander was like, that does it. This guy's a piece of shit. Like, we're not doing this anymore. like I have the power to not do it, so I'm going to help with getting the society back together.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember that exact sequence of events.
Think that he had, because I remember he was like, he's pretty much been anti-Darrow. Like, that guy's a bloodthirsty villain from the beginning of the book, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God. So, hard subject change. But I really want to know, though, who do you think is the queen of the syndicate? Like, who do you think that the Duke of Hands is answering to?
I hope it's not some daughter of some vague person who was mentioned once before, I hope it's like the Jackal. I'm just going to hope everyone's the Jackal.
I have a couple different theories.
You think it's related to Victra?
I don't think it's Victra.
No, not Victra, but someone related to her.
I don't think anyone else is related to her anymore.
It's alive? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So I have a couple different theories because there's not really like a ton of people left, right? That it could be. So if it's the queen, I'm just going to go ahead and assume it's a woman. So
it's safe. Though if it was the Jackal, he would totally play it that way.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I'm stuck on that.
I mean, I think Harmony, the leader of the Red Hand,
that's a great guess.
You think that's what it is? Yeah, because like
for sure that hits such a chord.
Yeah, because like
of like truth.
But so I'm saying that because it like a lot of it makes sense, but like at the same time, I feel like we're not seeing enough of like why Harmony. I wish we had like a Harmony POV if that's the case. Like if I mean, we've already seen what the Red Hand is doing and stuff, and like I am right that Harmony is the leader of the Red Hand, right?
I'm quite certain. Names. Yeah. No, you're totally right. She was like the breakoff faction, and
so like I think. It's like the character.
Like the Reds. Yeah, you're right.
It's the character that makes the most sense, that has the most to gain. Not the most to gain.
Totally. Who else do you think it could be? Your first guess was So Money. I didn't even really think about it.
So for a second, I thought maybe it's Virginia, and Virginia is just trying to like play a bunch of different sides and like kind of squash the syndicate. But like that doesn't make any sense either because it's like. How would she get that high up? You know what I mean? I just thought like, for a second in my mind,
terrorists.
No, it's really bad, obviously. But like in my mind, I was like, it'd be wild if it was Virginia because of like the position of power she already has. You know what I mean? It'd be like a crazy flip, and like it would be really bad for everybody. But,
it would be like Virginia's Brown.
Virginia's not. Yeah, it's like that is a Pierce Brown move, but like for all the wrong reasons. Like it wouldn't actually.
Well said. Yeah, couldn't. Yeah, totally.
I think Harmony makes as far as like characters. Like women characters that stand to, I mean, unless it's Dido, but like,
why would the Red Hand even be a thing that we've been led to hate and all the things if she wasn't? Like what you said was so right, dude. It just like she's it.
Yeah, because I feel
I'll be shocked now.
Yeah,
if it's not.
I mean, like, what other characters could it? That's like it was more like a process of elimination than anything. Like,
is Darrow's mom still alive? I'm just thinking of Pierce Brownisms.
Right. Yeah. Like, hey, it was your mom the whole time.
Right.
Like, yeah. Yeah, he would do that. But yeah, I think maybe it's probably Harmony. Unless like the Sovereign like wasn't actually killed or something, but like she was super killed.
I mean, honestly, good on Harmony, like not good on Harmony for becoming a terrorist, but like she really has like seized her destiny and like risen to power.
Yeah, but like how much page time has she actually had though? Like barely any in like the entire series. So like I don't know.
One time in a tea shop like 3 books ago.
Yeah, I think it was 2 books ago.
2 books ago. Okay, yeah, I think you're right. It was when the explosion happened, right? When we first met the Jackal.
Oh yeah, that was a cool scene. Damn, I want to go.
That was a really cool scene. Yeah, and you know. The first 3 books are littered with those scenes. In this book, we have like the Cassius scene. And then we have a lot of kind of just flying around, betraying our own fractions, fractioning groups that have been like historically always together and like best friends falling apart, which like I get it. We have to break things before we fix them. But I just kind of felt like a lot of that was last book. Like we literally went through the last 3 books, really. We went through like a Severo, Darrow, like breakup back in those books too, and then we fixed it. And so it's like I want more freshness here. I don't want to just like rehash the things that we've already been through and already fixed.
I thought it was weird when Severo was like, I came because like what was this reason again? Like I came because like you were dangerous for us.
He came where? Severo, with Darrow.
Yeah, like
because he was like Darrow, you leave a trail of bodies behind you, and you're so caught up in your own, like, the idea of himself. Darrow leaves a trail of their friends' corpses behind himself, and this is what he told Darrow. Like, you leave a trail, and it seems like you can be so enamored with your own self-image that you could be like blinded by your own legend, sort of thing. I honestly think his real reason that he just didn't tell him was to protect Darrow from himself. It wasn't really for everyone else. It was because he wants his friend not to lead a suicide battle charge into, to sacrifice himself.
Protecting him from himself. That's what it was. Yeah, I was like, what did he was like protecting him from something? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but he tells him, it's like, you're enamored in your own image or something. Like, do you think that Sevro's right? Is Darrow lost in his own image?
Yeah, but I don't think Sevro being there is really going to stop him.
He literally didn't.
Yeah, I get the sentiment, but also their relationship is really weird.
It's really weird.
Because there's also like this
simple
kind of
and complex.
Yeah, because there's also like this weird like imbalance of power, like because like totally. Darrow is like very much outranking Sevro, and like so Darrow can just put his foot down all the time.
And does.
And so it's like that's kind of like what I was saying before. It's like it doesn't really like Sevro's there, and Darrow kind of listens to him sometimes,
right.
But maybe Sevro being there would make the difference, though. So.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's if that's what he's claiming, which he did, then it's like the one time he has the ability to stop Darrow, he's like, nah, I'm going to go help my family as opposed to doing the thing that I came to stop you from doing. But like, it is his family on the other side of that. So like, I get it, but I don't know. Again, it's like, I just expect I think my problem really here is the bar. And don't get me wrong, this is a great book, but like the bar is so high. These last 3 books have like, they leave you breathless with like the scope of and the vividness of the action and the excitement and the wild Pierce Brown isms that you keep coming to. Like, it's so good, and the snow globe gets a shooketh so much. And in this book, it was like I felt like we were kind of like riding last book's snowflakes a little.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do feel like this is it's the weakest book in the series, but like, I mean, it was still a good book. Like this,
yeah.
There's no way it's like the weakest of it's like if you had like 4 pizzas from different pizza places.
That's like your least favorite Office episode.
But yeah, like I was saying, I don't think that this was bad. I think it took me a while, and obviously, if you've been listening along to these episodes, Chad Effie's not here anymore. I don't know if anybody noticed that.
Poor little
Effie is like super, super busy with a ton of different stuff and couldn't even get into the book. And I think that maybe if the book had been a little bit faster paced at the beginning, Effie might still be here with us, actually, because I think she was so busy and she had tried reading Iron Gold and got like 50 pages in. It was just like, I don't know what the hell is going on, you know, and it seemed really overwhelming for her. And then also, like, Chad finished this like weeks ago, but I've been really busy with a bunch of other stuff, and it just, the idea of reading this book for a while seemed really daunting because it was just so much. But it's funny because once I actually like really sat down with it, so I had gotten to like 200 pages in, and really just, that was like kind of where I was at for like a few weeks.
Just sitting on it, yeah.
And then I finished it over the course of like 5 days. Because
that's the right way to do it.
Because like once you really sit down with one of these books, it's over. Like, you're, with the exception, I think maybe a lot of people that have read the whole series would agree with me, with the exception of the first half of Iron Gold, which is just kind of rough. Like, just kind of rough. And that's my opinion. I think that the back half of it, not only did it set up for something where I went straight to my bookshelf and grabbed Dark Age, and then I had to remind myself, wait, we need to make an episode first. Like, we don't want this tainted episode where we know stuff about the second book. But
I reread the ending in preparation because it had been a few weeks, and I wanted to do the same exact thing.
You bet your ass, as soon as we're done with this episode, I'm going to go start reading Dark Age, though, because so much stuff happened in Iron Gold. There's some stuff we didn't even get to, but I feel like we covered a pretty decent amount. Like, let me ask you, what do you think is going to happen in Dark Age, and what do you think is going to happen in Lightbringer? And we've already kind of discussed what we think is going to happen to Darrow, but give me your Dark Age thoughts, at least.
Darrow's definitely dead at the end of all of this. That's what I'm saying right now.
Sure.
Okay, what's going to happen in the next one? Next one is going to be Lysander's rise to power. It's going to be his story of gathering the forces of evil, I think, that we would think of them as now. Though I think ultimately, though I don't think this will happen in maybe at the very end of this next book, but I don't think it'll necessarily happen in the next book. I think ultimately Lysander will be a force for good. And he will be kind of the saving grace. I think he will be like the next generation that leads the solar system into the new age of peace, I think, at the end of all of this. But I do think this next book is going to be him gathering forces around him to take out Darrow, though I don't think that he will end up doing that.
Okay.
What do you think? And I guess I only hit one of the many, but like...
Yeah, I mean, like, I do think Lysander will play a pretty big part. I don't think there's going to be a time skip. It'd be really cool if there wasn't. I think we could totally get away with there not being one.
Totally.
I think Darrow is also going to have to kind of like mend some bridges, or at least like get some more people. Because like when he takes off in the end of this book, it kind of meant he's kind of got like a ragtag crew. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't
like three howlers.
It's not great. Yeah. Like so, I think that maybe like he's going to have to kind of like stretch out and try to find some alliances that he still has. That would be interesting to see.
Like forgiveness run.
I would like to see some different POVs.
Same.
For sure. Like, I think a Severo POV would be amazing. I don't know if we're going to get that. I don't care.
I just like his speeches, man.
Yeah. Then that was so funny when, like, they took off and Darrow was like, no, we need the hostages. And Apollonius was just like, oh, why won't you leave them here with me so I can torture the hostages? And Darrow was like, no, we need them so we can get out of here. That was funny. But yeah, I'm not really sure, actually, really what to expect from this one. I mean, I've heard it's way faster paced, which is really cool because it's like 700 pages long. I think it's the longest book in the entire series so far.
Wow.
I think we're going to see a pretty massive battle on Mercury. I think it's going to be like whatever's going on Mercury, there won't be stuff going on Mercury anymore. Like after this book, you know what I mean? Like it's something's going to get glassed. Like something's going to happen to Mercury. Like I don't know what's going to happen, but like Mercury's been talked about so much. Yeah,
it's going down on Mercury, just like it went down on Mars.
I would really appreciate some more stuff around Virginia. Like, yeah, I would really, I want to see more stuff happening with Virginia and even Dancer, like just kind of like what's still going on with the Solar Republic, I think is really important. And I feel like that's another thing we just didn't get a whole lot of in this book.
Right. You know? We got this like kind of weird, which I thought was almost even out of character for him, like attack on Darrow so he could like get his way, which seemed a little petty and weird. Because he like was very instrumental, if not like the reason that Darrow is kind of the way that he is, and it seemed like almost a betrayal.
Oh, you mean Dancer?
Oh yeah, I'm talking about Dancer. Yeah, who was
Dancer's the leader? Dancer's the leader of the Vox Populi. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, so. But he also created, or was a large part in creating Darrow. Yeah,
but I mean, if he thinks that the way that Darrow is acting is putting what everybody's built in jeopardy, which is a 100% valid way to feel about Darrow's actions. Like if I was Dancer and I saw Darrow do an Iron Rain against like the Solar Republic's wishes, I'd be like, whoa, like slow down.
He created
like,
that warrior. He shouldn't be surprised. And then he shouldn't throw him under the bus or like use the very thing that made him be against him.
But Dancer's not responsible for all of Darrow's decisions, though.
Yeah, that's
like, leading up to now. Like Darrow made himself. Darrow made himself into the person he is. You know what I mean? Like
you're not wrong, but like not entirely. Like
Dancer
instigated
it. Dancer instigated it, but Dancer wasn't holding Darrow's hand and forcing him to blow up shipyards and stuff, dude. Like that was Darrow.
Yeah, but also like Darrow didn't decide to come back from the death and get like created into a gold.
No, but you could say like Augustus, like Nero Augustus is the reason Darrow is the way he is. You know what I mean? Like
but really... I mean, Dancer like literally like was standing there like with the knife in his hand next to like the pinky.
I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying though. It's just
I do know what you're saying.
You can assign blame to all.
I thought it was a little harsh. And it seemed like he was manipulating his own tool that he made that way for his own political gain. It was like, come on, man, there's a better way to do this. Go talk to your friend.
Yeah, maybe actually. Well, I mean,
not like throw him in front of the bus. Like, yes, he's a creature of war, trying to get more war.
Maybe Dancer thought that was the only way it would work, though. Maybe
maybe you're right.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe Dancer really
stuck in his ways.
Yeah, and would Darrow really have listened?
And to my own attack what I'm saying. He made the tool, so he would probably know how he works.
Yeah.
So he probably knows what's going to be the most effective way to bring him down, you know?
Yeah, it didn't really super work, but...
I know, yeah, right. Well, we didn't get into it too much, but like the whole scene when Darrow decides to like go off and be crazy and ends up killing the like Ragnar replacement.
Wolfgar. Yeah, I was not expecting that at all.
So it was like that. Yeah, it was like the beginning of the end. I think that's kind of like one of the things that led to him being like, yeah, let's light this guy on fire. It was like the slow corruption of like, man, he's like murdering his like friends now. Like, oh, it's so rough to like see our hero fall that far, you know?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If you thought that your actions would save the galaxy, would you alienate all of your friends and your family to do it?
Boy, I don't even know how I want
like
to
not even alienate, but like make them think you're a monster.
Right.
You know I mean? Like they because it goes over it a couple times, like the way that Pax like looks at him when they bail out of there like that, and like there's the shock on his family. It's like holy shit.
Most betrayal.
Right. I mean, like I
want to say yes, but I also don't even know if I want to say that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard because
it's messed up.
Like me asking that question, I think really puts into perspective like the fix that Darrow's really in, and I think that it was masterfully done at the end of this book, demonstrating that with this exact situation unfolding the way that it did. You know, I mean, like he
follows through.
He's got to finish this. You know,
yep.
But
whereas like Severo, he doesn't follow through at the end. He goes back to his family. You know. But you also can't hate on him for trying to protect his family.
No, not at all, and absolutely not. But I think that's why like I'm really excited to read Dark Age, is because from what I was reading, it didn't seem like Darrow was super well equipped to do what he was even trying to set out to do. It did sound like Mercury was going to be his grave. Like it did sound like he was, and that's why I think that it's a little bit weird, because it's like, well, dude, if you think you're going to die anyway, like maybe you should go to your son, or like if it's really like that lost of a cause, like maybe. But but that's not how Darrow operates. Like if it's not finished, he's not going to stop. You know what I mean? Like if there's still a 1% chance, he's going to do it. And that's why I think Dark Age is going to be such a freaking interesting book, because I want to see how he deals with all of that, because I don't think he's going to die in Dark Age. He might not die at all, but I'm pretty sure he's going to die in the last book, which is not to be
Darrow?
released yet. Oh yeah. No, like he's not. Yeah. He's done. But yeah, those are my predictions. I don't know. Like Victra, I want maybe some Victra chapters would be pretty cool. Actually,
I would like some more Victra.
Yeah, Victra,
as long as it's not her freaking out but betraying her character and her intelligence.
But she did it for a reason, man. Like she
did a dumb one
for kids.
It was like against her own self-interest. Like all of the ships are going to the same spot. She could have just waited 10 minutes and then everybody would have got out. Yeah. Okay, let's end here, because man, this is the only part that it did actually inspire some legit tears for me. Was this quote from Cavix Telemanas, when he told Lyria after she comes to him on a medical bed and realizes and she realizes that but for her blind nephew Liam, her entire family is now dead. And Cavix tells her, "Oh child, I am sorry. I know it may be impossible to believe now when everything is dark and broken, but you will survive this pain, little one. Pain is a memory. You will live, and you will struggle, and you will find joy, and you will remember your family from this breath until your dying days, because love does not fade. Love is the stars, and its light carries on long after death."
Fucking hey, man. That is some amazing writing right there.
Amazing. I started crying, dude. It was hard to even get through that.
It's true. It's true, though, too. That
like in the face of her. Oh, just, man, what beautiful words.
Man, what an amazing paragraph of words right there.
What an amazing paragraph.
Yeah, I remember reading that, too. Yeah, I was just like, whew.
Oh, man.
That is crazy.
And its light carries on long after death. It's just so good. Like, I can't. Explaining it will ruin the magic. Just listen to it again if you didn't understand it all. Or read these books, because, man, if you're listening to this podcast and haven't read these books, they're a great read.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for us today. Chad and I could probably talk for hours about Red Rising, but we'll probably end up just kind of like rehashing the same arguments and just talking about how awesome the books are and all that stuff. And
I like 14 pages of quotes.
Totally. I mean, like to sum up, like this is my least favorite book in the series.
Same.
I think it'll probably, from what I've heard from other people, it'll probably stay that way too, which I'm really excited about because we got 2 really awesome books ahead of us. Everybody that's been listening along and reading along with us and stuff, thank you for your patience. We really muscled through those first books really quickly, and then this one kind of drug down, and then Chad and I had some kind of like personal stuff going on, and we had to like put some stuff aside for a while, and it just so happened that we had to put it aside when we were reading these really cool books, and I'm really glad to be kind of back into reading these really cool books. And I'm also kind of happy to be done with these soon because they're kind of mostly a bummer. Like, they're cool.
And we got some cool stuff coming.
There's some really awesome things happening in these books, and I think that like narratively they're very, very impressive, and I could just go on and on about how great they are, but they are kind of bumming me out. So like I'm like excited to like.
There's only so much Darrow moping.
And just nukes and fucking fire and war.
They have an RPG nuke.
Yeah, man, and like
a shoulder-fired nuclear weapon.
And they're very deep, but I like that. I like how existential they are. I like how I like the questions that it's making me ask, not only of myself but of the main character of a trilogy. Who, I mean, this will be my last kind of sentiment about this book, but I think it's really cool that what Iron Gold does, and I'm kind of realizing this as we've been talking about it. But what Iron Gold does is it sits you down and it tells you to ask more questions about someone that you saw as a hero. Right. And like that's the point of this book, in my opinion.
Right. And the solution you think is fixing the current problem in your brain, because it might be the thing that leads to a whole lot of suffering.
Yep. I don't know. Yeah. Wow. Some really incredible books here. And everybody join us for the Dark Age episode, which should be coming pretty soon because I'm going to go start it. I'm going to go start it right now. It's time. It's time to finish up Red Rising, everybody. And then we're going to move on to Scholomance by Naomi Novik, which I think will be a nice little change of pace, hopefully.
I agree.
But until then, we are going full tilt over to Mercury with Dark Age. And everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Hope you have an awesome rest of your day. And of course, happy reading.
Bye, everybody.